West Virginia puts on its ugliest performance of the season in the second half of a game you really just had to have against the Baylor team that was on the ropes, and a pretty embarrassing performance overall. We need to talk about it.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host here, and welcome back into Locked On West Virginia, where we're talking Mountaineer hoops tonight. And I appreciate you guys and for all your support and for being here as we dive into this subject that I really don't want to cover tonight. I mean, it would have been a lot funner to talk about a win tonight, but it just seems like we're doomed to be just miserable as fans all the time as West Virginia fans. Let's talk about the channel sponsor here. Going to be brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. And right now with FanDuel, guys, it's the last chance you got, right? This, it's the last call for football on FanDuel. If you're a new customer, you can bet just $5. It'll make you come holla, and you'll get $200 in bonus bets if you win. So make sure you head to FanDuel.com to get started. Thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen, guys, and for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we're talking about your team, the Mountaineers, every single day. Man, West Virginia loses just an ugly game that really got out of hand in the second half, 63-53. That's the final score, not indicative of how close the game actually was. West Virginia just fell apart in the last 60 to 90 seconds, falling to 14-8 overall, 5-4 in Big 12 play, and your first home loss of the season, where you were 13-0 at home. That's gone now. The worst field goal shooting performance I've seen this year for sure, and one of the worst in the history of the program. This is the root of the loss. You shoot 36% from the field altogether, 18 for 50. So you shot 15 shots, you made 18. From three, you shot 26%. Out of 20 shots, you made 5. You shot 67% from the free throw line. I mean, if you could have been, closer to 80% from the free throw line, you were probably could have won this game with really good defense down the stretch. Baylor shot it a little bit better, 45% from the floor, which is much more respectable. They also shot 41% from three, and they shot 4 for 5 from the line. So, Baylor didn't dominate West Virginia, but West Virginia beat themselves with inefficiency. West Virginia minutes and 20 seconds without scoring the ball. During that span, you had 7 missed shots and 5 turnovers. Baylor missed 13 straight shots during that same stretch and still extended the lead. That's how bad West Virginia was. You missed less shots than they did and have 5 turnovers, and they missed 13 straight shots and was still able to extend the lead on you in the second half. Brendan Laurent was the only player that showed up tonight for West Virginia. He had 19 points. He was 7 of 13, 4 for 4 from the free throw line, and he was their only reliable offensive weapon. He did everything well, and when the offense was ran through him, until he got gassed late in the second half when he became a null factor. Once he got gassed, it was over with. Ross took him out of the game midway through the second half, but it didn't really help. He just never gained it back. Tragel's staff had one stretch where we thought he was going to get going early in the first half, but he didn't. 9 points, 3 of 7 field goals, 3 of 5 from three. He hit. On a normal night, this is acceptable from him, in my opinion, because he played really good defense tonight. Tragel's staff played really good defense tonight. He did his job for the most part and didn't get enough help. I wish he would have took more shots. He did get caught. He just can't dribble the ball very well, and so he gets caught in, traps, and he goes right exclusively, so it makes him easy to handle. I wish he would have developed a left hand, but it is what it is, man. If he had a left hand, he'd be so much tougher. Honor Huff just had a piss poor day, and 5 points on 1 of 13, 1 for 9 from three, in a game where you really had to have it. You really needed to win this game. And this was the game breaker, not 0 points. You had, zero destructive efficiency that, or that efficiency that he has that really breaks teams at times just wasn't there tonight. I can't explain it. Don't know why, don't know how, don't know when or any of that. I just think that at the end of the day, it's not, we have to be able to win with somebody besides Honor Huff sometimes. Yes, he had a poor game. Yes, I feel like that, a lot of this is kind of on him as far as we were so relying on him. But, this is a game where you can't survive a high usage guard shooting 8% from the field. Obioha shrinks in this game, 4 points, 1 for 2 from the field goals, 2 for 3 from the free throw line, limited touches. He battled, but was never really featured in this game. He's finding his role, but not really enough offensive involvement. Jasper Floyd had a great defensive game. It was excellent, elite even, but only 4 points on 1 of 3 field goals. There were several times tonight where he was wide open, and I just wish he would have shot it. And he didn't, for whatever reason. He just continues to do, 1 of 2 or 3 things on offense. It's tough to watch him on offense. He's not fast enough to get around guys. He gets into the post where you'd like him to be able to operate, but then the other team's length gets involved and they get steals. But you can't deny what he does for us on defense. Chance Moore had a decent day. He was 4 for 5. And maybe we should have let him shoot more. 9 points today. Definitely our most efficient scorer off the bench. I think he deserved more offensive emphasis, but it's easy to say after the fact. DJ Thomas looked outmatched today. Amir Jenkins looked outmatched today. Morris Agusic looked outmatched today. So our bench provided basically nothing. So Baylor won because they hit threes. They shot 41 from deep. They survived their own cold stretches, and they took advantage of West Virginia's. That's it, right? I think at the end of the day, that's basically what this was. This was really hard to watch. I wish West Virginia would have done things a little different, but they didn't. Somebody asked me in the comments of one of the comments, like, what would I have done, or what offense would I do then? Like, I don't get paid millions of dollars to create offense for West Virginia. But if I did, I would probably go hire Bucky McMillan as my offensive coordinator if that was possible. I would just give him a couple $1 million of my money and just let him do it. Like, if that's what you want me to do, fine. We'll just play Bucky ball. I don't care. So I don't know, man. Like I said, this ends our home streak. I think the big picture wise, that's what we'll look at next. What does this do for West Virginia big picture wise? Because there is a couple things that we need to look at. We'll talk about it next. And we got to talk about our friends at FanDuel, guys. Right now with FanDuel, it's the last call for football. One final Sunday, one last kickoff, one final chance to get in on the action before the NFL season officially comes to a close. That is Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel is making sure you're right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. Whether you're backing the favorite, riding the underdog, or building one same game parlay, this is the game everybody's been waiting for, and this is where predictions turn into plays, stats turn into storylines, and every snap feels bigger. It's the perfect way to cap off the season and make the Super Bowl even more exciting from the kickoff to the final whistle. So if you're a new customer, you can bet $5. It'll make you come holla and get $200 in bonus bets. That's if you win that first $5 bet. But you can't win if you don't play, so make it count, because Super Bowl 60 is the one, and this season is over. Last call for football on FanDuel, an official sports partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com, and you too can get started. All right, we're in segment 2 where, I don't want to crack a do, but I'm going to, because it's tradition. I don't know, man. Like I said, This was really hard to watch tonight. Like, it was a very frustrating game to watch. By the way, the referees were really bad in this game. Really bad. West Virginia shot more free throws in this game, for sure, but there were some calls that changed the complexion of this game. The flagrant one call was a really bad call. Just a really bad call. The guy even got up and smiled at the student section, So, yeah, it's just really bad. But anyways, big picture wise, West Virginia now has had multiple games with double-digit deficits early. The shooting variance continues to swing and swing big in games. When the jump shot disappears, this offense has no counter, none. And so you end the home streak, which we talked about, which, you dropped to 5-4 in conference, and it makes the second half of the Big 12 play really critical. And I think we're all a little bit less confident about this team now. But they'll probably come out and play well against some teams that we think they shouldn't. That's just how things work. But West Virginia didn't lose because Baylor was hot. They lost because they couldn't score when Baylor went cold. And I feel like that's just something that you can't allow to happen. If a team misses 13 straight shots, you should win that game. Period. Now give Baylor some credit too. They played good defense, but this is a team that's 1-8 in Big 12 play. So I don't want to hear about how good their length was or how good their players are. Like we detailed it on the preview show the other day. They've got a couple NBA players that are young, but let's not pretend like this team was playing better or was better than West Virginia coming into this game. And West Virginia just got out coached. Scott Drew basically said, listen, I don't care what else happens. This team can't do anything if Honor Huff is left alone or not left alone. And he's right. If you double Honor Huff, we have so many guys on this roster that are hesitant to shoot the ball that just won't shoot it that, I mean, there's nobody else to swing it to outside of Eagle Staff, and even he gets too hesitant that I don't know. I mean, there's, we don't have very anybody outside of Chance Moore that can put it on the deck and get to the rim. And so they just double Honor Huff, get it out of his hands, and then, they retreat back to their guy. He goes back to Huff, they double him, get it out of his hands, and go back to their guys. Every now and again, Huff's going to make a tough shot, but for the most part, like, that's the plan, and I think that's what Kansas State did. That's what Baylor did, and it's impacted us greatly, because Honor Huff is not good enough to score over 2 Big 12 wings day after day. So that's just the facts of it. And this is a Baylor team on the back half of a East Coast swing where they've been in Cincinnati for 4 or 5 days. And there's no reason you should have lost this game. Like, this is one of those games you look back at and it makes you want to puke that you should have lost. You should have just never lost this game. It's very frustrating for me to even think about that we lost this game. I mean, 1 for 13. Like, how in the hell do you implode versus a team that's 1 for 13 in the second half? I don't know. So, looking down the stretch, obviously West Virginia, if you look at what's coming up, let me hold on 1 second. The next game West Virginia plays will be Cincinnati, who's played a lot better lately, and you're on the road. So February 5th, which is Tuesday, would be the 2nd or 3rd. Should be next Friday or Saturday. Let me see what day that is. It's Thursday. Okay. So next Thursday, you're playing Cincinnati. It's a team you can beat, but it's also a team that can beat you. And it's a must-win game. Literally must win, because you've got Texas Tech after that. And if you lose to Cincinnati, the odds of you losing 3 in a row to Tech, with Texas Tech are pretty high. And you don't want that, because you've got UCF, who is now, 16-4? They just beat Texas Tech today. So you could, if you lose to Cincinnati, there's a good chance you lose 4 in a row here. There's also a good chance you can beat Cincinnati and get one of these 2 wins, which would be a quad 1 win, which would be huge. It would make up for the Baylor game immensely because UCF will be ranked next week. Unless they play again. No, they shouldn't. No, they should be ranked next week. UCF is playing really well right now. And then you got a couple games you should win in Utah, TCU, and Oklahoma State. Then you got BYU, a team that you probably won't beat, but you never know. It's at home. Then you got K-State, who's already proven they know how to guard us, and it's on the road. So, and then you finish with UCF again, which does not seem like the game that it was once again. So you're 14-8. You better beat Cincinnati to go 15-8, and then you better beat UCF or Texas Tech to go to 16-9 at one point. And then you've got to get a win versus Utah to go 17-9. That's at home. You better win that game. You probably, you better split one of the games with Utah or TCU or Oklahoma State to get to 18. You're probably going to lose to BYU, and then you better get Kansas State or UCF. If you can get both down there at the end, you might be able to get to 20. I was thinking 22 before today, but I don't know if that's going to be possible because UCF is a lot better than I thought they were. And I watched them today. They're very good. So I was wrong about them, but you never know until about this time of the year. So the Cincinnati game must win. Texas Tech game is like obviously the biggest game left on your schedule that you can win. Well, maybe BYU is now. I'm not sure. Both teams are losing today, I think. But, UCF might be as good as they are. And then you've got Utah, TCU, Oklahoma State, Kansas State in between that you can't lose. You can't lose these games. And they're very losable games. So outside of Utah, there's no way you should lose that game. But terrible showing from West Virginia. I do think there is a little bit of hope. I'm one of those people that, until the hope is totally gone, I'm not gonna throw the hope all out the window. I think West Virginia's got a chance to still make the tournament, but it has to win the upcoming games it's playing. And styles make fights. I always say that in basketball. Like Baylor was a bad matchup for West Virginia for a couple of reasons today. Number one, their bigs are good offensive rebounders, which means and defensive rebounds, which means West Virginia was limited to one shot today. In the past, whenever we've gotten some of our better performances have been Lorient and Obioha getting second chance rebounds and kicking it back out, and we getting open threes that way. That was shut down today. Second, somebody else usually steps up whenever Huff has gone down up until now to the point to where we can win a game, like with Eagle Stack getting 20 the other day or whatever. So, if Eagle Stack gets 20 today, you win the game, right? So that's the kind of thing that you just never know. Could it happen because of the styles? Styles make fights, like you say. So there's that. But otherwise, I think West Virginia, we're in a situation where it's going to be tough for them to get to the tournament. You're going to have to win some games you shouldn't win and win the games you should win. So there's only a couple of those left. And maybe you can't even say there's any besides Utah left on the schedule that you really should win. Cincinnati's a 50-50 game. Even though you've already beaten them, it's on the road, and the game we played against them was really close. Texas Tech is a better team than us that should beat us. UCF has proven to be better than us at this point in the year. Utah, you should beat. TCU, you should probably beat, but they're really tough defensive team under Jamie Dixon again. Oklahoma State, I feel like you should beat, even though they're a really good offensive team. BYU, similar scenario. You probably shouldn't beat them. Very similar to Texas Tech. But, Kansas State on the road, 50-50 game. And then UCF, probably a little better than us, maybe 50-50 game. So, there's just a lot to it. So, All right, guys, let's go to break one more time. We'll go ahead and come right back, and we'll talk a little bit more about some other things I got planned for another video here in a few. Talk about it next. All right, if I can get this thing to play. There we go.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kalia Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. The WNBA has released its 2026 schedule featuring a 44-game regular season beginning on Friday, May 8th. The league's historic 30th season includes expansion teams Portland Fire and the Toronto Tempo, with opening weekend highlights such as Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever hosting Paige Beckers and the Dallas Wings, and a rematch of the 2025 finals between the Aces and the Mercury. In college hoops, South Carolina handed Vanderbilt its first loss of the season with a dominant 103-74 win. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes, and coming back for more every time. Mazda puts the same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment. Putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
All right, guys, we are back here. Let's do this. All right, so Troy should be joining here any second here. Hopefully, he just texted me. So we'll wait on him. But I'm going to be doing a video here in just a few that I've been wanting to kind of talk about, which is West Virginia sports overall stability. I know today's a tough loss, but I do think that there's some cool stuff we can talk about. So I'm going to do a video on it as far as the health of the overall athletic program. The baseball team's about to be ranked. You look at West Virginia football and basketball. I think there are some reasons to be excited for the future. Obviously, the West Virginia recruiting class that's coming in is a huge, huge reason for that. So, yeah, there's a lot to potentially be excited about going forward. But so I'm going to be doing a video on that next. Maybe I can get Troy to join me for that. But speaking of Troy, he is on here now, and we'll bring him on and get his reaction to this ugly performance. What's up, brother?
Ugly performance, man. I called it an emotional loss, emotional game.
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts. Obviously, my biggest takeaway, Troy, I think is you can't, with a capital C, can't. Number one, shoot 26% from three. But you also can't let a team go 1 for 13 during a stretch where you go 7 minutes and 20 minutes without scoring, where you missed 5 shots and had 5 turnovers, but Baylor went 13 shots during that same stretch and still extended the lead somehow. How do you do that? How is that possible? I don't know. It's a total frustration. And this is a team you were better than, but you know what they figured out, Troy, is, and I said this earlier on the show, and then I'll let you take it away. Basically, what teams are doing is they're doubling Honor Hupp when he gets the ball, getting it out of his hands, and making anybody else beat him. It's the most simple concept you could possibly think of. Not everybody has done it. The ones that have been successful at it. K-State did it too. And the thing is West Virginia has a bunch of hesitant Nellies or whatever you want to call them. I don't know. But as soon as they swing it out of Honor's hands, everybody else is hesitant. They're always pump faking and driving, pump faking and driving, pump faking and driving. Sometimes we need guys to just have no breaks.
Yep.
Like how many times did you see Jasper Floyd tonight where he had 3 or 4 feet and could have pulled it? Mm-hmm. I mean, he's a guy that shoots 40% from 3. Yeah, he hasn't shot a lot of shots, but he's made the ones he's taken. And I wish he would take more. I mean, he's just an example, but Obi Ohad looks like he's got a great jump shot. He never takes any threes. I don't know why. I mean, it's a pretty looking shot. I don't know what the deal is there, but I mean, if he could turn himself into a stretch big, he could be so impactful. But anyways, what are your overall takeaways from all that?
Well, number one, I think the game, I mean, you obviously just touched on it and probably touched on it a lot earlier too, but I think the game could be summarized by the fact that you held a records out the window. Defensively, you held Baylor to 11 points for 15 and a half minutes in the second half. You entered the second half trailing by 8, and after that stretch, you were trailing by 5. Like that just how good your defense was for 15 and a half minutes shows how horrendous your offense was. Think about that. You entered the
a real
half down
problem.
8. You hold them to 11 points for 15 and a half minutes, and you end that stretch down 5. It doesn't work.
Yeah, it's not supposed to happen, no matter who you are, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's a twofold thing. It's number one, it's some of it's Jimmy's and Joe's. It's the players that we have just aren't as talented at the top end of the conference. And once again, you were playing against 2 NBA players today. And secondly, they play so hard on defense that it does impact your offense. It's very similar to on football. You know, when you run tempo all the time, eventually your defense gets worn down at the end of the game because they have so many more possessions. Well, in basketball, when you play long, drawn-out defensive possession after long, drawn-out defensive possession and get these stops, eventually that's going to take a toll on your offense, which you're also, you know, taking a long time on, right? It's both ends. It's very similar to – it's like running the 4-minute offense all the time or something. Like there's not a whole lot of – they don't have a whole lot of gears here. It's like 1 or 2 gears they have. You know, there was a couple times where we had a transition opportunity today and didn't take it and just different things. It's like Chance Moore is the only guy that can take advantage of a transition opportunity on this team.
Yep.
I don't know.
I think what I'll say, and I don't know, you know, your thoughts on this, but I said pregame Kansas State and pregame Baylor that the reason these two are so important isn't necessarily wrapped up in the fact that, like, you can't afford – the reason it seems like you couldn't afford to lose one of these is because you put yourself in the situation where you couldn't. And it's not a surprise to me that Baylor came in and beat us. It's just not. The record out the window, whatever, it's not a surprise. And the catastrophic element of it, that this is detrimental to our NCAA tournament hopes, isn't tied to the fact that we lost to Baylor at home. It's tied to the fact that you put yourself in a place based on your non-conference where you couldn't afford a loss to Baylor at home. That's my take on it, because I keep saying on Mountaineer Mode, I keep saying time and time again, this team did itself zero favors in the non-conference. You had 4 opportunities to beat a team with a pulse, and you didn't. That's why this game you couldn't afford to lose, because of what you did in the non-conference.
Right. And the thing is the breaks in North Carolina would get, or even a Baylor might get, you know, because we didn't have Chance Moore or we didn't have Jackson Fields for those first few games there. And, you know, those were significant guys at the time and became significant, especially Chance.
Yeah.
You know, so, and obviously it impacted the rotation and how we played for a couple of games even. But, you know, if North Carolina were that, you must believe the committee would bring that up. Well, they didn't even have, you know, one of their 6 best guys for the first.
Right.
That'll never get brought up for us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I just think big picture, like that's what this game summed up as, because it's a really lofty expectation to think that this Mountaineer team was going to have to go unbeaten at home to make the tournament, right? Like Javon Carter, Deuce McBride didn't go undefeated at home in conference play.
Right.
So just you put yourself in a really difficult place where you thought you had to be perfect, and the odds of that happening weren't very good. Now, did you want to come to a 1-7 Baylor team that lost? No. But that team that we just played, I get that their offense wasn't what it was normally because of West Virginia's good, solid defense, but like they got some guys on that team.
They do, but it's a game West Virginia should have won. And, you know, I don't know that you have the same performance 2 games in a row this bad. You know, like I said, I can look at so many different things and say, yeah, if this happened, if that happened, and in another game, it probably would happen. One thing is West Virginia's free throws. You know what I mean? I think you missed – what was your free throws? I had it here somewhere. Let's see. Yeah, free throws. Let's see. Well, I did have it somewhere. I lost it. But oh yeah, you were 12 for it. You were 67% from the line again.
Yep.
If you can get to 80%, that's 5 extra points. You're probably tied at the end of the game, even though you're having this bad, and it just doesn't feel like such a weight. It's the exact same. Actually, it's the exact same way I felt at the end of the Kansas State game, whenever they were up 4 or 5. It felt insurmountable.
Yeah.
That
we were
should
fortunate.
never be the case.
Yeah.
4 or 5 should never feel insurmountable.
Yeah.
Even with a minute to go, it's not. With this team, you've got 8 minutes to go and you're down 5 and you feel this is insurmountable.
Correct.
It's not good. And it is partially, like I said, this is not a super talented team. And I know people probably don't want to hear that, but it's the truth. And there's 1 or 2 guys on this roster that are guys that I would personally want to keep next year after having seen them for the full season. There's a bunch of guys that I don't know about anymore, like going forward. Like today, I think DJ Thomas has potential, but I do wonder about him going forward sometimes.
Yeah.
Is his ceiling high enough? Like he's either going to have to get a lot stronger so that he's an elite rebounder, because he's good around the rim, but he's an under the rim guy, so he gets blocked a lot. So you either got to get better at that. Like I said the other day, if he can become a stretch 3 guy, perfect. He'll be a really good player. But he's not a guy you can throw it underneath to a really good long defender and expect him to score it. He's going to get blocked a lot. It just happens.
Yeah.
So, I worry about him. Amir hasn't really, even though he's a freshman, he's not shown a lot, right? Like it's like, okay, he can bring the ball up the floor. He's a good ball handler. He gets into the lane and then kicks it back out. That's really all he does. There's no 3-point. There's no like Joe Toussaint, like that threat of getting to the basket and getting like there's none of that. Where is that? And, I wanted to root for him for so long now. And it's to the point now to where I'm starting to think, I don't know. I mean, he's a top 100 player. Maybe it's the team we're playing with or on, because I don't know. But, I'm starting to wonder, like, if the guys that we have coming back next year, do we actually have anybody that's worth being excited about? Because Sadler and Doom, Alio Doom and Miles Sadler is an elite. And obviously, if you get Paul, then you're in a Dabonsa type situation. But how do you say his last name? Usamori? I think that's how you say it.
Yeah. I think so.
Paul Usamori, the 5-star that's on that same team with them. Obviously, you get him. That does change the entire complexion of next year, because then you're just building around Usamori. But, I wonder about with the guys that could be coming back next year. Is there anything to be excited about? I mean, it's starting to get kind of frustrating, right? But and the other part is like, you don't think Sadler's watching this like, God, am I going to be in that offensive system?
Right.
It's worrisome. Like it can't be like you can't be having games like this very many more times. I feel like, I don't know. Maybe he loves it so much and is going to come here anyway, and I'm just worrying for just a worry. But it feels to me like he shot up 20 spots in the rankings over the last month. He had 14 steals in a game the other day. Did you see that? Yeah. Miles Sadler went for 28, 14 assists, and 14 or 12 assists and 14 steals in the game in Spain. You get a triple-double with steals? Like, that's 5-star.
Yeah.
And that's what's coming. And we've got to hold the fort together here so that guy feels like he can come here and be used correctly because of Honor Huff. Now, obviously, I feel like Sadler's a much better player. Obviously, he's not the 3-point shooter Huff is, but
right.
He's everything else. So, sorry, I went on a tangent. So what are your thoughts on that part of it here really quick before we go? Like, as far as like, we got to be thinking about next year a little bit too.
Right. No, I mean, the first thing that came to mind when you started talking about Sadler is I hope he's saying right now, I'm ready for the challenge. I'm ready to lead this offense and be the difference maker. Because what else would he be saying, right? That would be the hope that we would have for him at this moment.
Right. We need you to
Just
do this for us.
generally
You're our hope.
speaking, like, I mean, back-to-back games at home where you have a 7+ minute scoring drought in the second half, you can't expect to win those. We were fortunate to win one on Tuesday night, I mean, and again, I don't know about you, but like, and I came on, I said that was an emotional game. Like, did you feel like, I don't know if it was just because it was a Tuesday night game at 8:30, but like Tuesday night, like I just kind of watched that game casually. And,
Yeah.
I mean, as a fan, I'm like super engaged, but like I wasn't yelling at my TV or anything. Today, I was like getting mad. It was just,
Oh,
there was a
yeah.
lot of
No, I
emotion
was
and
mad
you
as
could tell
hell.
in the arena, right? Like you could just tell.
Yeah.
It had a different feel to it, even though they were the same style game against, teams with the same record in conference.
Well, I mean, they beat us so many times, and it's Baylor, like it's still the logo of Baylor. Like they just won a national championship. It's Scott Drew, who is, if you had to list out the top 5 or 10 coaches in America, he's on the list, right? So he's there with, like, it's him, it's Izzo, it's Calipari, it's guys like that. So he's in that class.
Yep.
You won a national championship at Baylor. Like, it's the same as winning one at West Virginia to me.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
same level of difficulty. So obviously they had elite talent. They got it really lucky there for a couple of years. I don't know if they were paying players or what. Did you hear Pac-Man Jones say that, by the way?
About?
Oh my God, he went on the Julian Edelman. What's that show he's got that's real popular? The podcast, Julian Edelman.
Okay.
He does. It's like really funny. He went on there and said that West Virginia paid him $50,000 to come to West Virginia when
Did he really?
Yeah. Yeah, he sure did. I was shocked. Not shocked that I mean, we all know that stuff happened, but it's like, I can't believe he said it out loud, Crazy. Thought about doing a show on it, but it's like, man,
if anyone
I don't
would
even
say
wanna...
it'd be him. He'd be the guy.
Yeah. He's like, man, he's like, I wasn't going to go to Georgia. I wasn't going to go to Miami. He's like, in West Virginia, I got a bag, which $50,000 is a bag. I mean, that is a bag, especially back then.
Yeah. 20
Just
plus
crazy,
years ago.
man.
Yeah.
All right. So big picture going forward real quick, 60 seconds. You've got, I'll name off the games really quick.
Yep.
Cincinnati, that's a 50-50 on the road.
Yep.
Texas Tech is a 70-30. UCF is probably a 65-ish, 35, something like that. Utah should be a 70-30 our way at home. TCU is probably a 50-50, maybe 60-40 on the road. Oklahoma State, similar, 60-40, you're on the road. BYU, 70-30, maybe 80-20. BYU, Kansas State on the road after the other day. I don't know what to call this one, but I'll go 60-40. And then UCF again at home feels like a 60-40. Like, am I wrong in any of those? Like Cincinnati feels like it's winnable. Texas Tech is winnable, but I don't think we'll win it. UCF is 16-4 now, by the way, and they just beat Texas Tech today.
I know.
Utah feels like the only game on the left on here that you should probably pretty much chalk up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough schedule ahead, tough slate, especially with UCF being a bit of a surprise with having them twice. But, again, obviously, as we came into this week after the trip to Arizona, where you go 1-1, you came into this week like we were all saying it, you need both of these, and you didn't do it. Yeah. But now you got to go get them somewhere if you want any chance of being in the picture in mid-March. So you got to go get them.
UCF is a quad 1 win now for sure, whether it's home or away with what they just did.
Yeah.
So maybe they already would have been, but quad 1 opportunity. Cincinnati on the road. Is that a quad 1? What's their record right now? Maybe a quad 2. It's a record.
Yeah.
They just got trounced by. They're 11-11, so could end up one.
I don't even think in quads anymore. Ever since the University of North Carolina Tar Heels got in at 1-12, I don't do that anymore.
Bubba.
Sorry, I just
bad bracket matrix was wrong for the first time in history, literally ever. That's all we heard. Yeah, well, I mean, every time in history, bracket matrix has had a team. What was it? 111. Having 111 brackets had West Virginia in.
My bad, y'all. I got them going.
And I'm thinking, well, we're in. It's never in history over the course of 10 years how they've been doing it. if somebody's been in on all the brackets or like 95% of the brackets,
That's
been
not
a
even bubble.
lock. Yeah. And then Bubba somehow is on the committee, and they had no top 25 wins. It was a horrible resume.
They beat one tournament team. There was UCLA. I think there were 7.
That's what it was. They beat one tournament team. They beat
1-12 and called one.
And it's like, some of the seeding choices, like the ACC champion was like an 8 seed, right?
Right.
It's like, so how is the ACC champion 8 seed? North Carolina didn't even finish top 4, and it just didn't make any sense, Guys, you can find Troy at Mountaineer Moment. As you see there, he does a good job especially with basketball. He does a great job with it all. So make sure you're checking him, and I'll say it in a Canadian accent, Oat, because he does such a great job over there, and he can really tell you what he's all about when you get a chance to see it.
Right.
Appreciate you for being here, man. Guys, like, share, subscribe, and I'm going to be right back. I'm doing a back-to-back video. I'm going to try to con Troy into doing it with me, but I'll talk to you guys after this here in just a few, and we'll be right back.